There's a number of reasons why hockey players may have higher risk of having a hip injury. Many times it comes down to the two primary factors of a lack of range of motion or asymmetrical range of motion, right versus left, or lack of stability. So the key to a good injury risk reduction program is to first and foremost make sure that you have enough usable range of motion so that you can do all the motions you need in the sport of hockey without getting into a position that your body's not comfortable getting into, which is where the injuries happen. The second part of that is when you have that newfound range of motion, you need to be able to control it. You need to own it. So having ownership of that range of motion through stability in various control planes of motion, various body positions, is crucial for reducing your risk of hip and groin injury. The unique biomechanics of hockey being that it's more of a lateral push and pull, a lot more lateral movement versus a traditional running stride, is that there are different types of imbalances that you would see from your standard running athletes or ground-based athletes. With that respect, a lot of times hockey players get tightness in the outside of their hips, so they may lack internal rotation of their hips. They also may lack hip flexibility into extension because many times you're skating, your posture is forward. We want to undo that with some strengthening of the backside and some lengthening of the front side to keep you balanced. So when it comes to strength training and injury reduction programs for hockey athletes, one thing that's really important is to have single leg hip control, and that comes from not only appropriate amount of range of motion and balance, but also strength in your glutes, your quads, and your stabilizers. So we use a lot of variations of single leg squats. We use a lot of variations of hinging and lunging and squatting to address strength that is relative to hockey athletes. It allows you to stay good and stable with your push. It allows you to stay athletic and strong in your skating stride, and also has the ability to keep you balanced on a right to left perspective as well, so that you don't have asymmetries. The key is to work both lateral and linear aspects of strength, meaning that you have to do exercises that involve side-to-side movements, like a side lunge. You also have to do exercises that involve forward and back movements, like a forward or backward lunge, or a rotational exercise. You want to get all planes of motion to really ensure that you are truly being strong and stable in all positions that you potentially might face on the ice. So when it comes to reducing the risk of hip and groin injuries, in hockey players especially, there's a couple key components to that. Number one is stride length. So being able to flex one side, one hip, while extending the other. We work on range of motion exercises to improve that hip separation while under a stabilizing condition. So these are not static stretches. These are more movement-based dynamic stretches that involve slow, controlled movements that help to lengthen the hamstrings. It helps to lengthen the hip flexors, improve hip rotation range of motion as well. And by maintaining good separation, rotation, and lateral range of motion of your hips, you're going to free yourself up to have a longer stride and a better push off. And then you have to complement that with some stability-based exercises that utilize that range of motion that you gain in your mobility exercises, so that you can own that range of motion and be stable and strong throughout all parts of it.